Hey, here we are. Brian Manning here, political asylum lawyer, former asylum officer with the government. Now I help people all over the United States to secure their future in the United States through asylum. So I don't have much time today, but I wanted to jump on and address a couple things because I've been getting calls about this stuff all day. And so I wanted to just say a couple of words about it. That'll take a couple questions, but then I got to go. So, temporary protected status for Venezuelans. Uh, no, not sorry. We're not talking about TPS for Venezuelans today, rather for Ukrainians. So, temporary protected status is a status, as the name suggests, that allows someone to stay in the United States. They can be here, and they can also apply to work legally under it. And the government just announced that they're going to do this for Ukrainians who are in the United States right now. And it looks like it's going to be 18 months that they're going to get to be able to stay here, have permission to be here, no matter what their immigration status is now. If they came on a tourist visa and overstayed their visa, it doesn't matter. Okay. Even if they entered the country without permission, like at the border with Mexico or Canada, it doesn't matter. It's okay. They can still get this parole status. How it works is you pay an application fee and you show the government that you've been living here from a certain date. I believe for Ukraine, they're saying it's going to be from March 1st, like literally 3 days ago, which is not hard to prove. And a couple of other things you got to show, and you send this application in, and then they send you a letter that says, okay, you have parole, you can stay here for a while. And it takes them a while though to make those decisions. We filed a bunch of TPS applications for Venezuelans a while ago, about in the summer, late last spring and summer, and we haven't gotten any decisions yet. Some Venezuelans have gotten their decisions for TPS. We haven't gotten any yet. So it's probably going to take a few months. So just wanted to let you know about that. Let me say something now real quick before I get to your questions. Thank you for that, by the way. Thanks for the questions about asylum interview wait times at the asylum office. So no doubt you've heard of people who have been waiting for years to get their interview, right? Lots of people waiting 4, 5, 6 years, and it seems like it's never going to be their turn. And that's tough. Obviously, that's very tough. Your life is like on hold. You have no certainty around your future, and that's got to be really stressful. So I'm sorry for those of you who are in that position, like Mr. Good on YouTube commenting. You've been in that position for 6 years. Should I expedite? I'll tell you in a second what I think about that. But first, let me say that it's easy to think, okay, if I apply for asylum now, I'm going to have to wait, 10 years, since there's already people waiting 5, 6, 7 years. But that's not actually how it works. The government changed their policy recently to where now, when someone applies now, that person actually has a really good chance of getting their interview within just like a couple of months. We've been having lots of people get interviews within like 2 months of applying. We even had one person get an interview within just over a month of applying. So it's moving very quickly for people who have filed within the past about 8 months to a year. But if you filed before that, like 2 years ago, and you're still waiting, unfortunately, you're probably going to be waiting quite a while still, unless you take action to force the government to give you an interview. So, Mr. Good, you said you've been waiting 6 years. Should you expedite? Well, there's two different things. There's expediting, and then there's pressuring the government or suing the government to get your interview. Expedite is something specific. It's when you have a reason for them to hurry up your case, like if you have a health issue or one of your family members that could be made better by getting your interview. So if you have, let's say, I don't know, a nervous breakdown, or you have, let's say you have a heart condition, and the stress that you're under because of this uncertainty surrounding your immigration status and whether you can stay here in the future, that stress is making it worse. And you get a doctor to write a letter saying that they think that, it's making it worse. And if you could get certainty about your future, your immigration status, well, that might help your health. That would probably help your health condition. That can be a reason to expedite your interview. And another common one that we help people with a lot is if the applicant has family members who are abroad who are eligible or would be eligible to come here on the basis of the applicant's asylee status, should they win. If they win their case, then they could be eligible to bring over their spouse or children who are under 21 and who are not married. If those people are abroad and they're in danger, like if something bad could happen to them, then that can be a reason to ask the asylum office to expedite your interview. And those are both examples of urgent humanitarian considerations that would cause the USCIS, the asylum office, to give you your interview soon. So you have to do that. To ask for that, you got to send them a letter. I recommend sending both by email and a letter by physical mail. To ask for that, you got to explain what's happening, what the emergency is, and how getting your interview sooner can make it better. And you should try to provide proof or any kind of evidence you can that shows that what you're saying is true. Okay. Most often a letter from like a doctor is going to be something that's really helpful. Okay. So that's expedite. Okay. Now that's different than suing the government. Okay. The government's supposed to act in a reasonable period of time with regard to any immigration application. And if they don't do that, you can sue them, and you're asking a federal judge to tell the asylum office that they have to give you your interview. They have to do their job, which means give you your interview and move your case forward. So that's another way to do it. If you've been waiting 5 or 6 years, unless you have a great case to make for that urgent humanitarian concern that I mentioned, then you should sue them. Sometimes you can threaten to sue. You can say, listen, if you don't give me my interview in the next 60 days, then I'm going to have to sue you. And sometimes that's enough. They say, we don't want to fight a case in court, so they give you your interview. Okay. But if that doesn't work, if they say no, or if they just don't respond, then you can sue. You can file a lawsuit in federal court. It's not that hard. I mean, I think you do need a lawyer to do that particular thing, but it's not like a really involved process for you. It's not nearly as hard as applying for asylum or preparing for an asylum interview. You really don't have to do anything. If you hire a lawyer, you don't have to do anything really. The lawyer does it all on paper. You don't have to show up in court or anything. So to answer your question more specifically, Mr. Good on YouTube, if you've been waiting 6 years, yeah, man, I would threaten to sue and sue the government. Okay. It's called a mandamus lawsuit if you want to search it. MANDAMUS, mandamus lawsuit. And we help people with that. We can help people with that. So if you want to talk about that, let me know. Call us for a strategy session and we'll talk it over. I want to address real quick. I got to go in just a second. I just wanted to say that about the interview wait times really and TPS for Ukrainians. But I want to address real quick Fuad Fares comment on YouTube. You said, I called your office and wanted a consultation with you, but it's 3 weeks and I've seen you these days. Kindly, can you put me before 3 weeks since my issue needs attention now? So yeah, I mean, I try to open up a lot of time on my schedule for consultations because there's a lot of people who want our help and want to see if we can help them. But we get filled up quickly and there's a wait time sometimes. But yes, I'm gonna message you. I'm gonna email you. If you called, we should have your email address if you gave it to my assistant. So I'm going to email you and we're going to make time for you. The wait is usually not that long because we're constantly fighting to open up more space to accommodate more people so that we can help more people. So those of you who have not yet called, I think if you call today, you would find that it's not 3 weeks. It's not a 3-week wait to talk to me. We can get you in quicker, but I'm going to make sure we do that for you. Okay. Fuad, so thank you for commenting. Okay. Let's see. Is it too late to get help? So I already applied for asylum. Is it too late to get help from a lawyer? No, absolutely not. I don't have time to go into detail right now on what we do for people in your position who have already applied for asylum, but now they decide that they want to strengthen their case and be really prepared for their interview. There's a lot that we do. I mean, there's 3 main steps, but it's a lot and it helps a lot in my opinion. So that is that. Yeah, the answer is yes, absolutely. There's still a lot that can be done to strengthen your case and prepare you for the interview. Mr. Good, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. Okay, we got Spiderus. I got to go in 1 second, but Spider says, what's the waiting time for those who are applying in 2022? It's fast, man. I was saying this at the beginning of this stream. It's fast. It's like probably 2 months. Not for everyone. There's going to be some people who slip through these cracks and it will not be that soon. But for a lot of people, it's going to be very soon, like a month and a half to 2.5 or 3 months for the interview. Okay. So you got to be ready. This is not one of those things where you think, oh, I'm just going to write some stuff on the application form and send it in. And I know that I've got like a long time. I've probably got years to think about it and, improve my case and get ready and all that. No, you got to be ready. You got to have everything together and be ready to go now, because there's a good chance you're going to get your interview very soon. Cefialo says, one question: Asylum referred to court and get married in the meantime before getting an audience with the court. What happens? Well, I assume, do you mean get married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, or is it someone who doesn't have one of those legal statuses? If you're talking about getting married to one of those people who could give you, who could possibly get status for you, you could get status. Okay, he clarified and said yes, U.S. citizen. So a U.S. citizen, right, can normally help you, someone in your position, to get immigration status. But it still may work. It still may be possible. What happens is, once a notice to appear is issued, which is basically, that's the thing that starts the immigration court procedure against you. So when the asylum office sent your case or referred it to the court, they created a notice to appear and filed it with the court. And that, when that happens, it becomes more complicated, harder to get a marriage-based green card or marriage-based relief from deportation, because there arises, or there is created, this presumption. Basically, the judge will assume that you're doing it for fraudulent purposes. The judge will assume that you got married just to try to get a green card to avoid deportation. Okay. So it's not impossible to prove them otherwise and convince them that it's a legit marriage, not made for the purposes of getting around the immigration laws. You can do it. It's not impossible, but there's a formal change in the way the judge analyzes your case when the marriage happens after you are put in deportation proceedings. So it does get much harder. Okay. So not impossible, but it's a lot harder. Can we file for H-1B while waiting for asylum interview? Yeah, it's a little bit tricky with regard to whether you can change status from, if you had a status when you came in, like a tourist visa, and then you at some point applied for asylum, and then you're trying to get H-1B, it's tricky. It can be tricky with regard to whether you're eligible to change. That's something that your H-1B lawyers, you should ask them to look into for you. Okay. Because it can be, the timing and how that all works can be tricky. Okay. Is it true that there's a special visa for people living abroad for asking for asylum? No, there's no asylum visa, unfortunately. People who are abroad and fear being harmed in their country, they can try to be refugees. Like if they go to a third country, like if someone from, just to make up an example, from Tajikistan goes over to Uzbekistan because they're afraid of being harmed in Tajikistan, then they're considered a refugee. And if they can try to go to another country to be like resettled permanently, and the United Nations is the main entity that helps with that, and they send people to the United States and other countries. Like the United States works with the UN and says, oh, we're going to take 40 people this month from this that are in these refugee camps, or that you're working with United Nations, and then you get on a list and you end up going to the United States. But it's not easy. You can't just say, hey, I want to go to the United States. It's not like applying for a visa. You don't have a lot of choice over what country you might get sent to. So short answer is no, there's not an asylum visa, and it's really hard to get resettled in another country as a refugee as well. Okay. One more last question. Fuad said, one more question. Would you advise me to go ahead and apply for asylum to avoid the 3 weeks time consultation with you, because I know I will hire you? Or would you want me to wait for you? Wait for me. Thank you for saying you want to hire me. I appreciate it. I want to talk with you, and I want to hear about your case, and I will tell you whether I think you have a chance. And if I think you have a chance to win, then I'm sure I'll be happy to represent you. Because if I think you have a chance, then I will also believe that I think that I can help increase your chances for winning. So then I'll be happy to help you. And don't apply yet. If you want legal help, if you want a lawyer, don't apply yet. Wait a few more weeks. Well, as I told you earlier, I'm going to get in touch with you. We're going to talk sooner than 3 weeks, I promise. So don't worry about that. Okay. Can you represent me in Minnesota, or do you advise another state? Yeah, I am. We help people all over the country. Okay, we help people in, yeah, coast to coast, East Coast, West Coast, South, North, all over. And by the way, I lived in Minnesota for a couple of years. I love it up there. I think it's great up there. Finally, is your Brian, nice name, says, is your dad being ill a good reason for expediting? Probably not. Well, you can ask, you can use it and say, oh, I want to travel to see him. If he's really ill, I need to see him before he dies. Presumably, if he's not in the country that you're seeking asylum from, if he's somewhere else, or if you could meet him in a third country and you're saying, I really want to do that, it's really important, or he needs my help, and I'm afraid I don't want to leave the United States while my asylum case is pending because I don't want to give it up, and I'm afraid I might not be let back in if I get an advance parole document. You could try, but the answer really is like, no, it's not. It's not the same as when it's concerns someone who is you're eligible to bring over here, or who's already here and who is suffering, like your spouse or your child. Okay. I mean, I don't want to say no, you can't do it. Like, it's possible. It's possible. It's just harder than those other relationships to you. Simon says, my asylum interview didn't finish due to time. How long does it take to get another interview scheduled? I live in Seattle. Oh, I was just there for an asylum interview 2 days ago. I wonder if you were interviewing the same day as my client when I was there. It'll probably be soon. They actually, that's like the top of their priority list for scheduling, is interviews that have to be rescheduled, and that having to do a follow-up interview or a continuation kind of counts as that. So it'll probably be very soon. It'll probably be like a month from now, or maybe 2 at the most. But it'll be soon. Okay. It's been 5 months since my asylum interview, but I haven't received any decision. How long do you think it will take? Please help. By the way, if you're on Facebook and you want your picture to show up when in your name, when I highlight your question, you got to click the little link above the video to let StreamYard, the software service that I'm using, see your identity. But it's fine with me if you don't do that. So 5 months, haven't gotten a decision. Well, look, these decisions get delayed for all kinds of reasons. It could be something that is reason for concern, or it could just be totally random, something that you don't need to worry about. It doesn't mean anything bad, doesn't mean they're going to deny you or anything like that. It could be either one, actually. So unfortunately, there's no way to know. But when are you going to get it? How long will it take? It's impossible to say. It could be a long time still, or it could be very soon. If overall, since you applied for asylum, if you've been waiting for more than 1 year, it's been more than 1 year since you applied, then you could consider trying to threaten to sue the government, or to sue them if if they don't give it to you then, because the government is still on the clock, so to speak, meaning they still need to act in a reasonable period of time. Even though they've given you the interview, they haven't finished your case. They haven't taken the action they need to take on your case. Okay. Julia says, what if I applied and got my interview scheduled, but have to reschedule? Do I have a chance to get an appointment soon? How does it work with these situations? Yeah, I was just saying a second ago, Julius, that you can, if you reschedule, it will probably be very soon. It'll probably be like a month or maybe 2 months later. They do prioritize getting those. It's not just specific to one asylum office. All the asylum offices prioritize reschedules of interviews as like the top priority. So it'll be soon. Okay. By the way, Julius, and to you other guys who were saying that you have interviews scheduled soon, if you want my help with a practice interview or mock interview, a lot of people find it really helpful. I think it's absolutely a key for my own clients who I'm helping through the whole process. That's a key part of it, is the practice interview, because when you go into that real interview, it's going to be harder than you expect, Julius. It's not going to be what you expect. And because of that, people commit mistakes. They mess stuff up. They have more inconsistencies in what they say. And they also just don't do a very good job of presenting themselves and explaining their case. With my practice interview, you'll go into it, I think, more confident, more comfortable, more relaxed, because you already know what kind of questions you're going to get. You already know what it feels like to be in that position. You already know what the different procedures are for the day. All of that, I think, is going to help you. So call us and schedule a consultation if you are interested in learning more about how we might be able to help you with a mock interview. Okay. All right. Thank you for all the questions. I got to go. But I hope all you guys have, all you folks have a great weekend. And if you want to get a consultation with me, an Asylum strategy session to talk about your situation, whether you've already applied or have not yet applied, no matter where you are, if you want my input and to see if I think that we can help you increase your chances for success, help you win your case, then call my office, 713-909-0401. It's 713-909-0401. You can see it up above my head. Our website, you can book it there too, manningasylumlaw.com. There's links where you can use to online book your consultation with me, and we'll talk by video conference preferably, or if you want by phone. All right. So thanks again, and have a great weekend. And I hope I get to talk with you guys soon in a strategy session.